Hello, welcome back once again to Infinite Jeff, the project where I, Jeff, read the book Infinite Jest to you one day at a time, one page at a time. It's a book by our old dead friend David Foster Wallace. It's a long book. This is page number 468. Here we go. Free. It was the first time he'd been out of this kind of mental cage since he was maybe 10. He couldn't believe it. He wasn't grateful so much as kind of suspicious about it, the removal. How could some kind of higher... Try that again. How could some kind of higher power he didn't even believe in magically let him out of the cage when Gately had been a total hypocrite and even asking something he didn't believe in to let him out of a cage he had like zero hope of ever being let out of? When he himself could only get on his knees for the prayer in the first place by pretending to look for his shoes. He couldn't for the goddamn life of him understand how this thing worked. This thing that was working. It drove him bats. At about 7 months at the Little Sundays beginners meeting, he actually cracked one of the Providence fake wood tabletops, beating his big square head against it. Footnote 195. White Flagger Ferocious Francis Geheny, one of the most ancient and gnarled of the crocodiles, had a white crew cut and scally cap and suspenders over the flannel shirt that encased his gut. That's how you know it's old guys. Suspenders. Old guys when they get that gut and they're just like, well, I guess we've escaped the bounds of the belt, so we're gonna have to bring in some more heavy duty. Get them suspenders going. Oh man. And an enormous cucumber-shaped red schnoz that you could actually see whole arteries in the skin of, and brown stumpy teeth and emphysema, and a portable little oxygen tank thing whose bright blue tube was held under the schnoz with white tape, and the very clear bright eye whites that went along with the extremely low resting pulse rate of a guy with geologic amounts of sober AA time. Ferocious Francis G., whose mouth was never without a toothpick, and who had on his right forearm a faded martini glass and naked lady tattoo of Korean War vintage, who'd gotten sober under the Nixon administration, and who communicated in the obscene but antiquated epigrams the Crocs all used, footnote 196, FF had taken Gately out for eye-rattling amounts of coffee after the incident with the table and the head. He'd listened with the slight boredom of detached identification to Gately's complaint that there was no way something he didn't understand enough to even start to believe in was seriously going to be interested in helping save his ass, even if he/she/it did, in some sense, exist. Gately still didn't quite know why it helped, but somehow it helped when Ferocious Francis suggested that maybe anything minor league enough for Don Gately to understand probably wasn't going to be major league enough to save Gately's ass from the well-dressed sergeant-at-arms now, was it? That was months ago. Gately usually no longer much cares whether he understands or not. He does the knee and ceiling thing twice a day, and cleans shit, and listens to dreams, and stays active, and tells the truth to the Ennett House residents, and tries to help a couple of them if they approach him wanting help. And when Ferocious Francis G. and the White Flaggers presented him on the September Sunday that marked his first year sober, with a faultlessly baked and heavily frosted one-candle cake, Don Gately had cried in front of non-relatives for the first time in his life. He now denies that he actually did cry, saying something about the candle fumes in his eye. But he did. Okay, and that is page number 468 of Infinite Jeff. It's currently May 31st, 2021, 10:57 a.m. It's Memorial Day here in the United States. So I had been doing these one day at a time, one page at a time. Then I got a new computer. And the problem there was that on my old computer, I was using some pretty old, cracked software for editing these things. Adobe Premiere, but it was like, from like 2012 or something, right? And I didn't necessarily want to try to keep pirating Adobe because they really go out of their way to make it a big pain in the ass for obvious reasons. And I didn't want to pay for Adobe because it's really expensive, especially when you're not actually making money with it. So like, I'm used to Adobe, but I wasn't opposed to learning new editing software, especially if I could get something legitimate. Well, I'm an inertiatic, so even though I secured the editing software and kind of got all my shit, set up, I had to learn the editing software. So I just kind of didn't do this for a while, I knew I was going to catch up. And I mean, today, when this gets put up on Memorial Day, after I finish recording this and then I export it and make my video and whatever, I am going that I will be caught up. This is where I'm supposed to be. I can finally get back to one at a time. So yeah, I'd gone from Premiere. So I downloaded Vegas. It's not Sony Vegas anymore. It's Magix Vegas, but it's kind of a nerfed version of Vegas, which, really, I just need basic editing shit at this point. For these, this is a static photo for the most part. We just got to, not hard. But the thing I liked about Premiere is that I could open one project file, say for Infinite Jeff pages, the 400 pages, right? Which is what I'm doing now. And I could have, each video was its own timeline, essentially. So I could have, sequence, I guess they called it. But each sequence, was essentially its own video timeline. So what I could have in one project file, one computer file, I could have 100 different sequences going, one for each page, so that I didn't have to have a new project, like a new file for every single page. And what that does is it allowed me to easily keep everything looking the same, right? So I could just copy and paste instead of, because if you open a new project file, you have to re-import all your assets, your video, your audio, and you got to configure your layouts and where the text goes, and it just was easier the way I was doing it. Now, Vegas does not allow me to do that. At least I've not found a way to do that. So the workaround is, instead of having a bunch of different timelines, I just put the video together, export it, and then just in the same timeline, I just delete that audio track, put the next one in, change the number, but basically I don't have project files. Like, I can't go back and instantly re-export page 412 of Jeff Finnegan's Wake, for instance, because I constructed it, exported it, made my video, and then I was on to the next one. Whereas with Premiere, I could instantly go back and do. So I might still try to get back to Premiere because I like Premiere. Vegas, we'll see how Vegas works out. It might be able to do what I want it to do, and I just haven't figured it out yet. But that's the problem with new software, is that you just got to they're all very similar in the way they're laid out, but they all have their own little differences, and it's learning those differences. And, if you did something in Premiere this way and it's a little different in Vegas, it's like, well, now I got to learn that. So, yeah. But finally caught up. So hopefully I'll stick to it. And honestly, once I'm done with Jeff Finnegan's Wake, it'll be nice, in about 6 months, because it sucks. It's not fun to read. Infinite Jeff is fun to read, but not Jeff Finnegan's Wake. Anyway, so finally did that. Got off my butt. Well, figuratively, because I do it all sitting at my goddamn computer. But, well, anyway, we'll get these edited and exported and uploaded, and we'll go from there. So, have a good night. My shoes hurt. I hope your shoes hurt too. And, I love you all. Good night.